Have you ever been in one of those situations where your gut reaction is to just go in guns blazing?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Charge headfirst into the problem.
Mm-hmm.
But what if I told you there's like a smarter way?
Okay.
Maybe a way to get the upper hand, but by like stepping back
Interesting.
and just letting things kind of play out on their own.
Okay. I like where this is going.
That's kind of the heart of what we're diving into today.
All right.
We're going to be looking at this really cool strategy from the 33 Strategies of War.
Okay.
And it's called Give Your Rivals Enough Rope to Hang Themselves.
Ooh, that's a good one.
It's the one-upmanship strategy.
Oh, I like it.
We're going to unpack how sometimes winning
Right.
isn't about that direct confrontation, but more about letting your opponent kind of trip themselves up.
Ooh, yeah.
And overextend themselves.
Careless mistakes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's kind of like counterintuitive, isn't it?
It really is.
Our instinct is always like, go, go, go.
Right. Charge.
Yeah. But this is like, hold on, let's see what they do.
Play the long game.
Yeah, exactly.
Be a little more strategic about it.
So why does this actually work?
I think at the core of it,
Okay.
it's that, your rivals,
Yeah.
they want to beat you so bad.
They're so focused.
Right. Or they're so focused on their goal,
Uh-huh.
they end up becoming their own worst enemy.
They get tunnel vision.
Totally. They take on these huge projects that are way too ambitious.
Yeah.
They make decisions way too fast.
Without thinking it through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And they overestimate what they can actually do.
Classic.
And when that happens,
Yeah.
you get these openings, these vulnerabilities.
Just exploit.
Exactly. Like they're juggling.
Yeah.
And they just keep adding more and more torches.
Yeah, and they're on fire.
Right. And you just got to wait for them to drop one.
And you just sit back
Exactly.
with the fire extinguisher. Maybe.
Oh. And you know what's so interesting?
Oh, yeah?
Is that this applies not just like in a small,
One-on-one.
exactly in a small setting.
Yeah.
This applies on like huge historical scales.
What's a good example of that?
Well, look at the Cold War.
Oh, yeah.
Decades long.
Yeah, the U.S. and the Soviet Union.
Right.
That was a long game.
It really was. And,
How does that fit in with this idea?
so the U.S. didn't jump into a big, huge war
Right
away with
Like
the
that.
Soviets.
They didn't do like a D-Day kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Instead, they drew them into this arms race.
Oh, okay.
And here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
The U.S. knew
Uh-huh.
that the Soviet system was like fundamentally weak.
Economically.
Yeah, economically.
I-
Their economy was centrally planned,
Mm-hmm.
not nearly as flexible as the U.S. economy.
Right. Much more kind of brittle.
Brittle, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So it's not like the U.S. was trying to win every little battle.
Right. It was the long game.
Exactly. It was all about the long game.
They saw that the economic pressure would eventually crush the Soviets.
Exactly. The Soviets, they're pumping all their money
Into the military.
into the military trying to keep up with the U.S.
Yeah.
And it was just unsustainable.
Right.
It put this huge strain on their economy,
Yeah.
which led to internal problems, unrest,
Yeah.
and eventually the whole thing collapsed.
The Soviet Union just kind of crumbled.
Crumbled from within.
Yeah.
And the U.S.
They didn't have to spend as much on direct conflict.
Exactly. They let the Soviets hang themselves with their own rope.
That is really interesting.
Yeah.
So essentially, they provided the rope in the form of this economic pressure.
You got it.
Wow.
That's giving them enough rope.
That's a really smart way to look at it.
It is.
So we're talking about Robert Greene's book, The 33 Strategies of War.
Yeah, a fantastic book.
And this is a strategy right from the book.
Right.
What are some of the advantages that he
Uh-huh.
talks about in the book?
He talks about a few.
Okay.
He talks about effortless victory.
What's that?
Basically, your enemy beats themselves. So you don't have to spend all your energy.
You conserve your resources.
Exactly. You don't have to take all those risks.
Yeah. You come out on top without even really fighting.
You win by default, almost.
So you're saying it's like winning without a fight.
Exactly.
I like that.
It's a beautiful thing.
I like that a lot. What else? What other advantages?
He also talks about public humiliation.
Okay.
When your opponent screws up all on their own,
Yeah.
everyone sees that it's their fault.
Right.
You don't look like the bad guy.
You're not the aggressor.
Exactly. You don't make enemies.
You stay on everyone's good side.
Precisely.
And I guess you keep your allies too.
Yeah,
So it's like they wrote their own downfall.
they did. They wrote the script
Yeah. And you just kind of sat back and watched,
and handed them the pen.
hand them the pen. All right. So what else?
Okay, and this is a big one.
Okay.
Psychological dominance.
That sounds intense.
It is.
Okay.
So when your rival, they lose,
Yeah.
and it's clearly their own fault. it just crushes their confidence.
Oh, yeah.
They start doubting themselves,
Yeah.
their judgment, their abilities.
You can't blame anyone else.
Right.
You just got to look in the mirror.
It's all on them.
Yeah, wow.
This can have a really long-lasting effect.
I bet
Yeah.
it makes any future competition that much easier.
Totally.
They're already kind of beat before they even begin.
They're hesitant,
Yeah.
unsure of themselves.
Yeah.
Because they remember that last time.
The last time they failed. Yeah.
And it was their fault.
Right.
There's no blaming anyone else.
That's a powerful feeling.
It really is.
So it's not just about the immediate win.
No.
It's about the long-term psychological advantage.
Exactly.
So this can't just be for like wars and stuff, right?
No, not at all.
Where else can we see this playing out?
This applies in so many areas of life.
Like,
Business, for instance.
oh, interesting. Okay.
You see companies doing this all the time.
Yeah.
They'll let a competitor release a new product first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a risky product?
Yeah, something totally new.
Untester.
Exactly. And
Oh,
they'll
no.
just
Watch it.
see how the market reacts.
Right.
They learn from the successes, sure,
Uh-huh.
but more importantly, they learn from the mistakes,
The
the
failures.
shortcomings. Yeah.
So they let the other company kind of be the guinea pig.
Yeah, the beta tester.
And once they see that it works,
Right.
they come in with their better version.
Exactly. Refined, improved.
Yeah.
They capitalize on all that groundwork.
And all the mistakes that the first company made.
Yeah, basically, they get to skip the hard part.
That's smart.
It's a very clever strategy.
Okay, so what about in leadership?
Leaders do this too.
How so?
Imagine a politician.
Okay.
They've got an opponent who just says all the wrong things.
They're gaffe prone.
Yeah.
Or they make promises they can't keep.
Exactly. The smart politician won't attack them right away.
They just let them keep talking.
Yeah, let them dig that hole deeper.
Because every time they open their mouth,
They lose more credibility.
they damage themselves further.
Exactly. Then at just the right moment,
You pounce.
you just gently point out those failings.
You don't even have to attack.
No,
You just highlight what they've already done.
they've done the work for you.
It's like they set the trap for themselves.
It's the perfect setup.
Yeah, you're not the bad guy.
You're just pointing out the obvious.
This is amazing. So,
And
yeah.
it even works on a personal level.
Really? Okay.
Think about those people who are always trying to manipulate you.
Oh, yeah. Those people.
You know the type.
I know exactly the type.
Instead of getting into a fight with them,
Yeah.
just watch.
You're just watching them.
Observe their patterns.
Yeah.
Let them go too far.
Yeah.
And eventually,
Yeah.
other people will see them for who they really are.
You don't even have to say anything.
You don't have to lift a finger.
Wow, so it's like letting their actions speak for themselves.
Exactly. Actions speak louder than words.
It really is.
You mentioned Apple earlier.
I did.
Can you give an example of
Yeah.
how their strategy is kind of like this giving enough rope idea?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Apple, they're famous for not being the first
Yeah.
to do something completely new.
Right. They're not the pioneers.
They're not the pioneers, but they're the perfecters.
Okay.
They watch other companies make the first move.
Interesting. Yeah.
Think about smartphones,
Yeah.
tablets, smartwatches.
Mm-hmm.
Those early versions, they were clunky.
Yeah. Not great.
Not great. Right.
Not at all.
Apple, they watched,
Mm-hmm.
they learned what worked, what didn't,
Okay.
and then they came in with a better product.
They swooped in.
They swooped in and dominated.
Yeah.
They saved their resources
By not going first.
by not betting on every new idea.
They waited.
They waited until something showed promise,
Yeah.
and then they perfected it.
So they let the other companies make all the mistakes.
Exactly. They learned from those mistakes, and then they came in with a finished product.
A polished product.
Very smart.
It's a brilliant
So
strategy.
it seems like this strategy is all about patience, right?
Patience is key.
But that's hard.
It is.
It's hard to just sit back and watch.
It goes against our nature
Yeah, our instinct is to act.
to jump in, to fix things.
Right.
But sometimes the best action is inaction.
That's a hard pill to swallow.
It is, but it's true.
So what kind of mindset do you need to pull this off?
You need to be a keen observer.
Okay.
You need to be able to detach yourself emotionally.
From the situation.
Yeah, don't get caught up in the heat of the moment.
So you're saying take that step back
Exactly.
and analyze things from a distance.
See the bigger picture.
Understand your opponent,
Yeah.
their strengths, their weaknesses.
What motivates them?
Yeah, and then you wait
You wait for the right moment.
for those weaknesses to become clear.
Exactly.
Okay, but what if you attack too early?
That can backfire.
How so?
Well, for one, it can make your opponent stronger.
You're saying it can motivate them?
Yeah, it can rally their supporters.
They feel like they have to defend themselves.
Exactly. They dig in their heels.
Yeah.
And it can also give them valuable information.
Oh, I see. They can learn from their mistakes.
Right, they see what you're doing.
And they adapt.
They adapt and come back stronger.
So it's like you're helping them.
In a way, yeah.
By attacking too soon.
You're giving them a chance to improve.
Wow. That's counterproductive.
It is. You're basically training them.
So the smarter move is to
let them keep making mistakes.
To let them dig their own grave.
Precisely.
That's a powerful image.
It is.
You mentioned Julius Caesar earlier.
Yeah, one of the greatest.
How did he use this strategy?
Caesar was brilliant.
Okay.
He wanted to take down the Roman Senate.
They were corrupt.
Totally corrupt, incompetent.
Yeah.
But Caesar didn't just attack them outright.
He was patient.
He was patient. He waited.
Okay.
He let the Senate's own actions expose their corruption to the public.
So he let them ruin their own reputation.
Exactly. He let them alienate the people.
And by the time he actually made his move...
the people were on his side.
Wow. So he was already winning before the battle even began.
He had the public support.
That's amazing.
It's a brilliant example of this strategy.
But you can't wait forever, can you?
That's true.
There's got to be a limit.
There is a fine line.
But you can't be too patient.
Right.
What happens if you wait too long?
If you wait too long,
Yeah.
your enemy might recover.
They might regroup.
Exactly. Or someone worse might take their place.
Oh, that'd be bad.
It would be. So timing is crucial.
So how do you know when to act?
You have to be able to judge that tipping point.
When their weakness is irreversible.
Exactly. That's the cool.
When they can't come back from it.
Right. You have to be decisive.
And what happens if you miss that moment?
Well, think about Blockbuster.
Oh, yeah.
Classic example.
I like that in there.
Blockbuster, they were the kings of video rentals. Right.
And then Netflix came along.
With streaming.
Yeah, and they offered Blockbuster a partnership.
They wanted to work together.
They did.
What did Blockbuster do?
Blockbuster laughed them out of the room.
Really?
They thought streaming was a joke.
Oh, wow.
They were so focused on their own success.
They were blinded by it.
They couldn't see the change coming.
So they missed the boat.
They missed a huge opportunity.
And then what happened?
Netflix took over.
Yeah.
They built their empire while Blockbuster crumbled.
Because Blockbuster didn't adapt.
They didn't adapt.
They were too stubborn.
They thought they were invincible.
Wow. So it's a cautionary tale?
It is.
About not recognizing your own weaknesses?
Exactly.
You can't just focus on your opponent's mistakes.
You have to be self-aware, too.
Right.
You have to be able to see your own blind spots.
Yeah. So how can our listeners use this strategy?
Here's how you do it.
Okay.
First, don't react immediately when you're facing a competitor or a challenge.
Take a breath. Take a breath.
Okay.
Step back and observe.
Watch your opponent.
Watch them. See what they do.
Look for those weaknesses.
The overreach. The bad assumptions.
The arrogance.
Yeah. The arrogance.
Let them reveal themselves.
Let them make the first move.
Right.
Second, be patient.
Patience.
It's a powerful tool.
I know it's hard.
It is, but it's worth it.
So we just wait
We wait and watch.
for the right opportunity.
Exactly.
Okay. And then
We strike
decisively
when they're at their weakest.
Okay. And one last thing.
Yeah.
Don't help them.
By attacking too early.
Let them think they're winning
Yeah. Let them dig that hole deeper.
until it's too late.
Exactly.
That's cold.
But effective.
You also mentioned Tesla earlier.
I did.
How did they use this strategy?
Tesla, they revolutionized the car industry.
With electric vehicles.
EVs.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
big car companies, they laughed at Tesla.
Really?
They didn't take EVs seriously.
They were stuck in the past.
They thought gas cars would be king forever.
Oh.
But Tesla, they just kept building
Idly.
quietly, patiently,
Developing their technology.
building their charging network,
Yeah.
creating a brand.
And by the time the big companies woke up,
Tesla was miles ahead.
they were the dominant force.
They had won the race.
Wow. They let the competition underestimate them.
Exactly.
And they paid the price.
They did.
So what's the main takeaway here?
The main takeaway is this.
Okay.
Sometimes the best strategy is to do nothing.
To wait
To wait and watch.
and let your opponent destroy themselves.
Exactly. Give them enough rope.
To hang themselves.
Precisely.
It's a powerful idea.
It really is.
It's not easy,
It takes discipline.
but it can be incredibly effective.
It can be.
So, to our listeners out there,
Think about this.
think about this idea.
In your own lives,
Are there situations where you should maybe hold back,
where patience might be the key.
where giving someone enough rope is the best move? It's a powerful tool,
It is.
and it might just lead you to victory.
It might.
I hope this deep dive gave you some things to think about.
I hope so too.
And remember, sometimes the best action is no action at all.
That's the paradox of strategy.
Until next time, keep those strategic minds sharp.
And remember to give them enough rope.